Leveled Up Prophetic Podcast. We're on episode 17.
Yes, welcome everybody.
Yeah. We've had there's a lot going on in the world, little bit, just a little bit.
Yeah.
And I don't think, you don't watch the news. We don't really watch the news, but we do go on TikTok where you can get like authentic news. I've found it upsetting. So I really try, like, I don't want to be ignorant, right? But there's a lot of just disruptive things happening in the world. And I think there are a lot of different feelings that people are having depending on all different scenarios, and so while I'm really not trying to put my mind all that, I've been thinking about, okay, well, what's happening? Actually, let me share something with you. What's happening in the spiritual realm? And I'm reading a new book that one of my clients told me about, Esther, something to do with Esther. And in today's, I just wrote 3 notes. Here's what I wrote from my time reading that book. God governs the visible world through invisible power.
Wow.
Reminder. And then I did put not from the book, but just after reading, I just thought, oh, how sweet it is to trust in Jesus rather than trusting in the government, rather than trusting in, okay, do I have, a pew in my house? Do I have this? Am I get da? Like, wow, I can watch the news and know that there's so many unknowns that could happen at any time currently. But oh, how sweet it is to trust in Jesus. Like, man, I remember what it's like not to have that, but to have that everything,
Absolutely. We both, I feel like, have been feeling that recently.
Yeah. What a perfect segue into our episode, which was totally not planned at all.
Yeah.
But I just thought of that. I just wrote sweet little notes reading about Esther, and we haven't even gotten into anything yet with Esther. But what I loved about it in the first chapter is she, I think it's a girl that wrote the book, but she talks about how not one time in the book of Esther is God's name mentioned.
Wow. Yeah.
But that you read that and you see God all up in it, which is why it talked about the invisible power. She was doing what she was called to do, but it wasn't God told her to. It wasn't God said this and God. No, he's not mentioned, but she is in fact trusting in God in the call that she's having. So that was powerful. But today, episode 17, we are calling this, what did I just say? Something. It was
rest in him.
Safe to rest
in him.
Trusting in God.
Yes. Which I feel like you can say all day long that you feel that and you trust in all the things until he puts you in a situation where you have to actually walk it with blinders on, full force.
And you know what? You have to rest in, you have the option, right? You have to choose to, but you have the option to rest in God, and it doesn't have to be this huge fiery trial. It doesn't have to be like the greatest test of your life. Are you going to rest in God just today? Like resting in God as far as your schedule, resting in God as far as your health and your finances and relationships and the plans, like every area. And so just to kind of start us off, I looked up the definition, of course, of rest. So the regular definition of rest is cease movement, relax, pause, find peace and security. When it comes to resting in God, it's find peace and security and rely on his sufficiency. So it's trust plus reliance equals contentment and joy. And I think we love the verses that talk about rest, but actually resting, it can be challenging, and for all different people for all different reasons too. And I say we trust God. until you have to rest in the trust.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I'm not going to get into details, but I'm living that right now. And resting in him has sparked a new routine, or trying to find a routine with what he has me doing. And it's wild when you speak on it. And I feel like we've talked about this, like rest in him kind of like on a surface level, but when it's like depending rest on him, I feel like it's a completely different ballpark. It's definitely like another level of trusting him to carry you through all things. So like 2 years ago, I used to really stress out finances, like if bills would be 3 days late, if they would, like that would just rile me up. Like I liked everything very much in order, paid, and everything, like in order. Control. Exactly. Control. So
control feels safe.
Control does feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
So I liked everything in order. And over the last 2 years, the Lord has been stripping me of that, where, things may not be paid right on time, but they will be paid in his timing. In his time, I feel like I'm having a revelation right now. His timing is to strip the Egypt out of me and the control out of me and the things that he doesn't, that won't be going with me in my next.
Well, and he doesn't want you to be independent, and that sounds so beautiful, like it sounds so beautiful that he doesn't want you to be independent of him. But when you get down to it, that when it requires us to do less, as humans, we're used to busy schedules. We're used to, okay, what needs to be done? Okay, what's on my schedule today? And you feel like having a part in it, then there's going to be a trusted outcome. And with God, it's the very opposite. It's ceasing, it's stopping. So when your hands aren't doing something, when you're not stressed out about your busy schedule, it's hard. It sounds beautiful and it sounds like dreamy, but when it comes down to it, that's difficult not to have your hands on it. And in that resting, your faith grows. And as you said, like when he gives you this much faith through this, then guess what? He's going to give you this. And then once you have that much faith, he's going to give you, and then he stretches and stretches, because it grows your faith, which equips you for bigger things. And it also gives you a bunch of testimonies, but it's just not historically easy to rest.
No.
Because it doesn't feel safe. It doesn't. Yeah.
So I also would like to touch on the rest part of that. Resting meaning full dependence on him, which can feel scary, even though it's not. I just wrote, right as you were saying that, I just wrote down finding worth in doing. So that just gave me a revelation that I am used to my productivity of being productive is bringing like a sense of worth to myself, of being busy. And that could be why he just slowed everything completely down. Because over the weekend about how it's just.
Yeah. And so for me in my prodigal years, I had no idea, but after I gave my life back to him, and I was laid off from my job right after, and an amazing job. I loved that job. It paid well. Everything was great. And but the recession happened, and they were told you won't be touched. And I was in the second round of layoffs, and had a baby. So I have 2 kids by myself, and then was diagnosed with Lyme disease just a few months later. And I realized that all of my value, because I always thought I was worthless, I wasn't lovable, but there was one area where I was really good and confident, and that was work. Yeah. And I always worked more than I was asked to. I always did more than I was asked to, and everyone loved me. And Jen, you're the glue. I heard that everywhere I work. Jen, you're the glue of the office. And it's like, yeah, that's right. And so all of my value came from that.
Yeah.
So when that gets stripped away, then you're like, okay, where is my value? You're forced to look at that. And in the sessions I have with people, your value comes from performance, and it can be caused by a parent that nothing you do is ever good enough. Or it could be that your parents didn't show you love, and so you tried to do more, do more, do more to earn love. Or whenever your parents affirmed you, it was only when you performed well.
Right.
So those scenarios bring about that spirit that is based on people pleasing and performance, which is not of God, but you don't know it until it's exposed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll be praying about that later today. What are you showing me, Lord?
Yeah.
Because I think about that often. Like, I'm like, okay, well, how many things can I get done before 3:00? Maybe that he doesn't want me doing that.
Wow.
He told me the other day, I've slowed you down so you know that I am the only true provider. It doesn't matter how much or little you do. That does not matter in the grand scheme of things, that I am the provider.
Yeah.
And complete,
And that's exactly where he has me, although it looks different. I am used to working every day of the week, morning and night. That's what I've done. I don't know how many decades as a single mom. There wasn't another option.
Yeah.
And then I give my life to God, and all these things happen. And then he has me, start my own business, and I wasn't working as much, but I worked a lot. And then now this is what he has me doing, coaching. And even though he said, I'm your husband and I'm going to pay your bills, I'm responsible for your bills, this is what I want you to do, I still was like, I need more appointments, because this times this equals this, and my bills are this. And I realized, okay, I'm obeying him in how I'm making my money, but I'm not letting him be my husband. So then I had to switch to say, okay, how many do you want me to do? And then I've had to scale back, because he's like, you're still doing it for a number. I'm your provider. And, the income that I have alone does not pay my bills. It doesn't even pay half of my bills, but he's totally taking care of it. But I've had to rest in him as my husband.
Yes.
And it is easier for me to do that because of the seasons I've gone through with absolutely nothing and him providing. I went without a lot of things when I had zero income and had been on God knows how many interviews that I was overqualified for. But he did it in miraculous way. And I have the coolest testimonies from that season.
Yeah.
But I remember at one point I had to go to the food bank because I needed toilet paper and things like that. And you can't get that on food stamps. And all I had was food stamps. And so I went there, coming from working on the military base, making $25 an hour, to a food bank filled, and you wait in the waiting room with everyone else. And there's babies that their diapers are hanging off. They don't have pants. They don't have shoes. Like all kinds of sad stories in one room. And I'm sitting there like, Lord, why do you have me here? And I went in, and you get a certain amount every month. So a family of 3 gets 1 roll of toilet paper for the month, and a sample size toothpaste for the month. And then here's some free food. That's what I qualified for. And I thought, wow, like it really opened my eyes, And I grew up poor, but we weren't allowed to do that stuff. We weren't allowed to go places like that. And so I just thought, gosh, this is wild. And then I get hired, and I'm working at this really big ministry, and then promotion. And I was, one of the things I was responsible for was the blog. And they were like, hey, Jen, do you want to go with us to the Sharing Center, which is the place I had been at? Because we want you to take pictures for social media and write a blog, because we're going to make a donation. And I'm like, yeah. So I go not thinking about it. And then I'm standing there doing the tour,
Yeah.
you know, with execs. And
Yeah.
I look around and I see that waiting room, and I was just like crying, like, look, Lord, look where you have brought me. I now get to write about it. But that blog I wrote for the ministry wasn't a ministry blog. It was like, look, I actually got to be a person sitting in this room, and I got to write. And what a testimony. What a testimony. But
yeah.
cool, girl.
That's amazing when he gives you a big old slice of humble pie.
Yes. Yeah. Where you think, oh wow, I'm not, like, I don't have the money to buy anything.
Yeah. But all that's purposeful. And it definitely is. Like I said, it's easier to say, trust in the Lord, lean on Him during all hard and happy times. But that is a lot easier said than done until you're living it and walking it.
Yeah. And you know what God is really talking to me this week about is that word safe. And then, of course, whenever he's teaching me something, all of my sessions, like, it just applies to all of my sessions. And there's so much that we do and don't do to feel safe.
Yeah.
But that's why I chose safe to rest. It's not just about resting in God and coming to that place of resting in God. It's feeling safe in the rest.
Yeah.
And that can't happen if you don't trust God. And we've talked about this before. And you can't trust someone that you don't have a relationship with.
Absolutely.
So you're not going to get up here to this place of rest until you first trust, until you first have a little bit of faith. And all that comes from relationship, not religion. Religion will not bring you rest. It won't.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, that's been a huge learning. I feel like mine went the other way. Mine went faith, and now I'm at trust. So like mine went a little bit differently in the order of, but the trust thing, that's no joke until
and then he stretches how you trust him, which gives greater faith.
Yes.
And we were just talking about this, but it's amazing the prayers that we pray, not expecting the answer to only come about on the other side of testing or try, whatever the word is. I don't know what the right word is, but it's on the other side where we're like, I'm going to pray this. It's a great prayer. It sounds good. I can't wait till he answers this prayer. I have the faith to believe. And then you're like, no, out, I'm out. Yeah, I mean, so true.
Yeah. I feel like you and I have done that a number of times. That reminded me of that purple book that I've only taken out twice. That one
I told you. I was thinking about today, because you know why? What that session I had was at Friday for 2 hours. You don't remember it?
Yeah.
I just went through it.
Oh.
And I prayed page in that session. I prayed like 20 of them.
Wow.
And I'm like,
remember that?
Didn't I learn? Huh?
Did you just remember like that? That you got to be like committed for what's gonna follow.
Yeah.
But
here's the thing. Even though I know what happened the first time we did this, we were so excited about this, naively, but the fact is that I believe it brings to the surface what's happening below the surface. So even though brought to the surface are scenarios that are painful and hard and challenging, and they're suffering, yes. But the fact is, it's kind of like if there is a thief in your neighborhood that every time you fall asleep, they're stealing something from your house and you're not aware of it.
Yeah.
And a month goes by and all of a sudden you get a camera and the camera shows this person has all of your things. And now you're afraid because they're getting in your house, where they've been getting in your house. You just didn't even know about it. They've been stealing your stuff. You just weren't aware of it. Now it's exposed and you have to do something. That's what this does. I'm not going to give the name of it.
Yeah, no. Don't do it.
You're not, I don't care who you are. You're not ready.
Yeah, she ain't ready. She wasn't ready. I remember when we prayed that prayer, we did the first one out of there. Oof, the next 3 days after that was.
We did it for like 3 days in a row.
I know. And then I was remembering the second time that we did that, my body physically felt like I was hit by a freight train. Yeah, you're like sweating thinking about that book. My hands are sweating. Though, yeah, that book's wild. But that also makes me think like maybe I need to pray about which number the Lord wants me to dive into today on that one. It needs to be exposed in the name of Jesus.
Maybe we should do one before the end of the
week.
No,
why we're already here, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. At the end of the session.
Yeah. Yeah, so trusting in him, I would highly encourage every one of our listeners to trust in him, but he is going to take you. And I was just talking to Jennifer before we started filming how I have been decreeing and declaring for, I don't know how long, many months, Jehovah Nissi and Jehovah Jireh over my life as my provider, and his banner of victory is over my life. And now he's having me walk it blindfolded. Well, I am literally every single step. I trust you, Jesus. I trust you, Jesus. I trust you, Jesus. I trust you, Jesus. I trust you, Jesus.
He's like, do you though? Let me throw this your way.
Yeah.
Let me throw this your way.
Yeah.
Here's the most powerful thing I feel like I've read in a really long time. And it does come from the Esther book. But and I'm going to repeat it because you have to hear it at least twice, if not 10 times. God's hand is revealed through suffering.
I was just going to say trials. Yeah.
His hand is real. I've shared this before. I don't know if I've shared it here, but that naively, when I first gave my life back to the Lord and was just like eating the word all day long, I found out that there were all these names of God. I didn't know that. We certainly didn't talk about that in the church I was in growing up. Yeah. And so I was like, this is beautiful. And they all have these different meanings. So I prayed, Lord, I want to know you in all the names that you are. Don't do that. Don't do it.
I was like, what did that look like for you?
No. I mean, it's continued, right? But how do you know Jehovah Jireh?
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you know Jehovah? I forget which one is the Rapha. Is that the healer? Get sick.
Yeah.
How do you know him as and what's interesting is the interesting trials I've been through this week, or test or whatever. That night before I woke up in the middle of the night and I heard El Gibauer, and I went back to sleep. And when I woke up, I typed in El Gibauer, and it means mighty God. Here's the thing. El means God. Mm-hmm. Gibauer means mighty one. Gibauer alone also could be mighty warrior, but you put them together and it's mighty God.
Yeah.
How do you know he's a mighty God? Well, you've got to go through something where you need a mighty God, or 2 or 3 things.
Yeah, he'll show you.
Know him as yeah. Let me grab my cape and show you what that looks like. But here's some scriptures that well, of course, Proverbs 3:5-6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. How do you do that? Well, instead of him giving you everything at once to strip your heart away, piece by piece, he gives you things, because our heart is deceitful above all else. That's another scripture. Don't follow your heart. That's a worldly saying. Do not follow your heart. Your heart is fleshly. And it says, the word says that our flesh fights our spirit. And your Isaiah 26:3, you will keep in perfect peace those whose mind is stayed on God. And then it says, come to me, Matthew 11:28 and 30, come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, I will give you rest. And I have rest as an invitation. It's not a reward, it's an invitation to rest. And I've always said that rest has been the most difficult thing that I've struggled to do in my Christian walk as a single mom, as someone who comes from poverty. I have worked so hard to have what I have, to be who I am, and I know survival and I know how to be a fighter. Those are all the opposite of rest.
Yeah. I think maybe we should also touch on what resting looks like, because resting is not just laying around.
No, resting is trusting. Resting is, Father, what do you want me to do and not do? You know, God is not calling me at this time not to work, but he is not calling me to work enough to pay my bills.
Yeah.
So I am working how much he wants me to work his way, not what man should say I should be doing and how much man says I should be charging and all those things. I'm being obedient and trusting and resting in his plan and his ways and his strategy. Because I'm a great strategist. And so I've got to rest in his plan and his timing and be obedient in all the other things. And the key here is being content and joyful. Resting isn't just doing nothing. It's being content and satisfied with what he's doing and how he's doing it. And that ain't easy.
Yeah, I know. I was just thinking the same thing. I'm like, I recently have gotten something that I prayed for, and man, did that look different than I thought it would.
Right.
So like
I got married
for a very long time, and then now it's happening, and I'm like, okay, that wasn't the order I thought it was going to be in. I thought this was going to look differently. And I thought that once this happened, I was going to be busier doing X, Y, and Z. And that hasn't happened yet. So now it's
and he's like, I answered your prayer.
I know. I was literally the other day when I was like melting down about all of this, I was like, I'm living answered prayers. I'm living answered prayers. I'm living answered prayers, even though this doesn't look, feel, or look anything like I thought it was going to.
Which is, you know, that comes from having an expectation that is our expectation because we're humans.
Yeah.
And I've experienced the greatest disappointments in that, not realizing that I had expectations. And then when God didn't meet those expectations, I was upset about it. And it was a dear friend of mine who said to me, well, Jen, that your expectation was wrong. And I'm like, well, it wasn't sinful. And she said, no, it wasn't. But you were putting expectation on man instead of God, this is what I want and however you want to do it. And I hadn't ever thought about that before. And I was in this place of suffering. And then that's when I learned to go to him and say, well, will you give me your perspective?
Yeah.
And that brought peace to me. And not that he was like, okay, on this day and this day, no, God doesn't work like that. But it's like, okay, he already knows what's ahead.
Yeah.
He knows what needs taken out of my flesh so that my spirit is stronger.
Yes.
And in that season, which was a long season, I had to say over and over again that I trust the character of God, regardless of what it feels like or looks like. I trust the character of God. And I had to feed that truth when I didn't believe it or feel it.
Yeah.
That's truly renewing your mind in truth.
Yeah.
You may not believe it. Doesn't matter. Say it anyway.
We've said a million prayers out of faith when we're not believing it because it's not looking, and I'm saying it out loud for the entire spiritual realm to hear that I am backing down.
Yes.
No matter what that looks like. I'm so far in now that it ain't going back isn't even, I'm not even looking at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
and I heard or I read something, I think it was on Instagram today. I don't remember the whole thing, but it was something like, it was something about like not just getting mad at the enemy, but like punish the enemy. Look at your story, look at your trials, look at things, and you know what? Take that and go after the enemy. Use
Yeah.
that as fuel. And I always say, I box the enemy. I think, you know what? You've stolen so much. We're fighting.
Yeah.
I will not. I was fooled for so many decades, and I let you have so much of my life and my joy and my peace and I let you have so much, and now I know that it's my right to not
Yeah.
let you have anything. And so I'm not handing you a single thing. We are going to box over it, and it's just hard. It's
Yeah.
just hard because we're flesh.
And then I'm gonna get out that purple book.
Yeah, maybe.
I am shocked. I didn't remember that you did that many of that book. That's
At
wild.
least 20.
Wow.
At least 20. At least. I was just going like page by page.
Yeah.
And I don't know. One of the things the Lord has been teaching me this week, reminding me, reteaching me, probably is more accurate, is that I don't call you to everything. I don't call you to everyone. I don't call you to everything. And if I am doing more than he's calling me to, it's coming from a wounded girl inside of me. Over giving, over promising, I'm not everyone's rescuer. I'm not everyone's Holy Spirit. I since I was a little girl, you can ask any of my family members. I just wanted to be a missionary because I just wanted to save the world.
Yeah.
And I've always had that. He has given me that heart.
Yeah.
But in this current season of doing healing and deliverance, I'm like, okay, I'm going into an hour session, and 2 hours later, you're like, oh, you just got done. Well, I couldn't just end it. Well, I couldn't just one more thing. I just got to rip one more thing.
You're like, but I saw her in a cage, so I couldn't leave like that. I get it. I would hope
to show her the goodness of God, and God's like, yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
And so my heart is so pure in that motive, and I want to slaughter the enemy. And when I meet each person and I hear their stories that are similar to mine, I just want them to experience the other side, and they do. But I'm like, one more. Let me get rid of it. It's almost like going to the doctors and you're like, okay, my eye twitches, my finger itches, that rhymed, and I got a bum knee. And you're like, okay, let me write you a prescription for the 3 of those so you can see you do not have to live in pain or twitching. Or that's me in my sessions. Let me show you. But the Lord said, but if I don't call you to that, then I am setting myself up to get smacked upside the head by the enemy. Because it's not his will. And my heart's desire is in the right place. But I am doing more than what he said. And that's so difficult for me because it feels wrong. It's not, but it feels wrong. And so I've been spending so much time with the Lord saying, okay, show me my wound that's making me do that. Show me where I've like taken what's yours and put my hand all up in it for all good reasons and with great results too for them. Meanwhile, I'm a punching bag. I'm not, in Jesus' name, but it's still resting in what he said to do and then stopping there. That's still rest. Like, okay, you've done enough. You don't have to do that much time, and putting up those boundaries. And that shows the value I believe I have in Jesus, and that's not always easy.
No, that's not always easy. That kind of also made me think that maybe daily, as children of God, that we should be asking, what do you want my day to look like from right now?
Yes. I know so many people who have said to me over the years, you know what I do? And it's probably because they knew me well enough and they were being nice about it. You know what I do is, Lord, I give you my schedule.
Yeah.
And it's great when you do that, but I've never been historically consistent at doing that. I know when I was not working and could not get hired in that season, I would wake up and say, Lord, what you want me to do today? And he would send me on what we call treasure hunts.
Yeah.
And it was so fun because he would be like, drive here, park here, walk here. And
Yeah.
and the things I experienced in that season were like I had just some really cool stories
Yeah.
of what he had me do. But it is about stewarding what he's given us, whether it's time, whether it's money, whether it's a family, whatever it is. You steward what he's given you when you're resting in him and his ways. And I was thinking how the episode we did about him as our shepherd, and it talks about he leads me beside still waters, which sounds like a place to rest,
Yeah.
and then he restores my soul.
Yeah.
And I imagine this kicking and screaming sheep not resting. Well, how do you experience restoration if you're kicking and screaming, if you're so busy?
Yeah. Yeah. I had to start with the schedule that I'm in, remembering that stewarding what he has given me right now is a form of worship.
Yes.
My husband, my house, my car, my things that he has given me to steward.
Yeah.
And that when I'm doing my domestic things and being in that is an act of worship and gratitude for what he has given me, and that's okay if that's the season that he has me in.
Yes. And it reminds me of that scriptures that says, it says something about, he gives you the little. Oh, I trust you with the little. Do you know what that verse is? Let me look it up.
It's, being trusted with, I don't know that right off the top of my head. Trusted with little, you'll be trusted with much. It's around that.
Something.
Is that
whoever, it's Luke 16:10. Whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. And that's the stewarding, but then also understanding the revelation that it's worship, that God's trusting you with this. But if you mismanage it, why would he give you more? Yeah. Why would he give you more when you already aren't happy with this? And I remember him giving me that revelation when it came to my children. It's such a burden because I'm a single mom, right? Like, I have to do so much. It is a lot. It is difficult. But if I do it as an act of worship, like he trusted me as a single mom, he trusts me with these kids. What am I going to do with it? What am I going to teach them? How am I going to steward their minds and their life and the time that I have with them? And there are some amazing moms who have written amazing books giving the revelation that. And then there are women who got the revelation when they first became a wife, and God gave them revelation of, and it really is an act of worship when you steward what he's given you, whatever it is, and then being content and finding joy in it. But it's another thing that you have to be very intentional about that, because it's not easy. I mean, I love it for the women that get it all down, but the fact that those of us who have had to work for what we have and have had to put so much effort into being who we are, all the healing and all the things that we've done to get us where we're at versus it just being handed over. I know there are people who get out of Christian school and marry their Christian sweetheart, and then they're married and they have a little house and they lead Bible study, and that's great. But coming from fighting for everything you get, or to come out of strongholds that you've had in your life and then being okay with not doing I think that's more common than the other, honestly.
Yeah. And obviously he puts us he lets us, he leads us. So we will be having revelations like this and what he's trying to show us. because I remember 2 days ago I was praying, what, after I had a meltdown, what do you want me to learn in this season? Like, what is the lesson behind this? Because I could just flesh this all day long. And I was like battling my flesh and my spirit, where I was like shutting it down with my spirit, shutting my flesh down. But then I was doing this the whole day, battling back and forth. And my spirit was just like, die flesh. Like, it's it. Like, there's no other outcome except dying to your flesh. So like, just get out of the emotions. But I feel like in that tarrying is where you're going to get your revelation of
the quicker you say that one line, what can I learn in this? The quicker you're going to get through it. We had a speaker at the ministry I worked at a long time ago, and I think he was someone famous. I don't remember, but I forget what he did and what he was known for and all the things, but he got up there and he said, I learned long ago that as soon as something very upsetting happened, or something really, really challenging or difficult, as soon as it rose up, I learned to say, okay, God, what do you want to do in me now? Instead of looking at like, oh my gosh, I can't believe, or poor me, or this is so hard, he immediately said, what can I learn in this? And he looked at it as an opportunity instead of all the other things, which shows so much maturity, but humbleness. You have to be humble to say that. And we're just prideful beings. We are like, why me? Or how long, Lord? Oh, sorry. But to say, what can I learn in this? Then he's going to show you. But he's waiting for us to stop like toddler kicking and screaming over it, And it's hard. It can be challenging to die to your flesh. But when you become aware of that's really what he's trying to do. He's really trying to answer your prayer and reveal who he is. He's trying to reveal his hand. And really at the end of it, there's freedom. There's freedom in your mind when you get on the other side of it.
There's freedom in all things. And I've been thinking about this because everything that he has stripped me of has answered a prayer in one way or another, of everything that I have surrendered to him. And I noticed that 3 days ago, I was like, everything that I battle with my flesh, where I'm like, I want ice cream. Am I ever going to be able to have that again? Well, that answered 3 other prayers of me not having sugar. So me dying to my flesh, on top of the warfare of everything that I've surrendered to him. The warfare has subsided substantially, walking in obedience with him and dying daily to your flesh gives less access to the enemy. So it's answering prayers and protecting you all in one. Not that you don't have to die to your flesh daily, because I'm still doing that. Like that's still like, I'll go through like waves of like 3 days ago.
How much fleshing you're doing that day.
Yeah. So,
that's why fasting is so powerful.
Yeah. I've been
shut it up.
I know I fasted a lot lately. And I was like, how many days has that been since I've only eaten dinner? And like a light dinner. So, but yeah, just dying to the flesh is really, really miraculous what he does when you just crucify it.
And you know what that makes me think about is that years ago, before I gave my life to Jesus, I was really into like the vampire books. And what's interesting about those is, or it led to another book, which I didn't end up reading, but someone told me about it. It was called like The Host. And it was this, let's say a spirit, because I don't remember if it was an alien or a spirit, but let's say the spirit would hop into its host, which was a person. Yeah. And it wasn't this movie wasn't like a thriller. But it would have an assignment. And trust me, there was nothing Jesus about this, but it would have an assignment, and it would, like, let's say we met and my assignment was to teach you how to bake bread, right? Let's make it little. Of course, in the movie, was a lot bigger than that, or book or whatever it was. But I would finish that assignment. And so this spirit would jump from this body onto the next assignment. And then this person would become this person again. Right.
Wow.
And here's the fact. The word says that the earth is not our home. It's not our home. We are flesh and we are spirit. Our spirit is in this host. And our spirit and our flesh, according to the word of God, fight against each other. Because our spirit knows heaven. Our spirit wants to be in heaven. Our spirit knows everything that's available to us. But our spirit has to live in this host that messes things up and that is fighting what it wants. But the more we die to our flesh, the more this spirit that's home is in heaven can reign over it. And so our flesh just doesn't naturally want that because it's the host. And so getting that revelation and then allowing that revelation to really be at the surface during the trials is really going to help you learn the lesson and become stronger in your spirit quicker than when I first gave my life to God. I didn't know all that. And so I would get the same test over and over again because I was failing it because I didn't understand that it was a test. It was just like, no, I don't want to do that. Like, I'm not ready to do that. And so I would disobey because I'm coming out of the world. But the more that I learned, the other side of obedience is so much better. It really is green pasture. But you're not going to get there without resting in him and his plan and his ways, his provision, all the things.
Yeah. And I just want to touch, for anybody who doesn't know what dying to the flesh means, it literally is anything that your body craves. Anything. Shopping, anything. Anything like sugar, you know, certain foods, anything like that. When you cut all of that supply off, and your body just sits there in craving something to comfort or anything like that, that is dying to your flesh. You're crucifying your flesh and not feeding it. You're not feeding the host what it wants.
Yeah, it's true.
Feel
it's like parasites.
Yeah.
You know, parasites thrive off sugar, and people have pain throughout their body not knowing it's coming from a parasite. I'm not a medical professional. I'm just telling you what I've heard. And when you feed it sugar that it's craving, it becomes stronger and causes pain and inflammation in your body. But you're hosting that parasite, unfortunately. But it's the same thing, is that we are a host, and what this host might experience as a stronghold can be very different than what your host experiences as a stronghold. I've never been addicted to alcohol, and cigarettes was something that I was probably addicted to, but getting rid of it wasn't really a really big deal to me, by the grace of God. The same with cursing. He took that from me. Why did he do that? And he does it for others. I don't know, but there are other strongholds. Before I was married, it was that I just wanted a husband. 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 And God was like, here you go. And I'm like, on the other side of that, not that one. Changed my mind, not that one. I didn't give enough details about that. No, I'm joking, kind of. So, you know, it's, as I know you've said this before, Mallory, but it's those things that are idols, and that's the stronghold. That's what he wants you to give up.
Your stronghold turns into an idol. Like, I didn't know.
Because for me, I like ice cream, but ask me the last time I had it, I couldn't even tell you. I don't crave, I once in a while crave ice cream, but I already know what ice cream does to my body. I already know the pain ice cream causes in my body. And so I don't have a desire for that. Where someone else might need that every single day, or they feel they need it every single day. And so God says, give that up for me. That's very different than the strongholds that I've come from. So it's finding out what those things are, and then being willing to give it to the Lord. And if there are things that you know the Lord has wanted you to give up for a really long time and you're not able to, then you might need to fast over it. And if you fast over it and it doesn't go, then maybe you need to grab someone else and say, will you fast with me? And will you fast and pray over this issue with me? I've done that with friends to break things off churches. We witnessed things and said, let's fast every day at this time for our church. And then, another level from that is it could be that you need healing and deliverance. It could be you need inner healing. And so you need to find someone to do that for you. And so it depends. Don't feel like a failure if you're not able to just get over it, if you're not able to fast and get over it. There could be, what I've seen in what I do is sometimes God doesn't answer those quick prayers because there's a root he wants to expose, and he wants to get rid of your blood. He wants to get rid of that root that's in your bloodline so the rest of your bloodline lives free from it. So don't allow the enemy to condemn you if you're not able to just get over it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I was talking about yesterday on my TikTok. I was talking about dying to the flesh and all that type of stuff. And if you're struggling with that after doing prayer, fasting, etc., that you may need to do deliverance, because there's been, I mean, how many times have we done deliverance stuff on me for stuff that strongholds of addiction, all the things.
Yeah. And you know what, God, he gave me a different wording for it. I don't think I've shared this anywhere yet, maybe in one of my sessions, but he said, what vow am I still in agreement with from past trauma, past hurt, past whatever? And that vow creates a stronghold.
Wow.
You come into some kind of vow. And then 2 Corinthians 10:5, which is take captive every thought. It's a pattern of thought that's created a stronghold. That's what that is. And so you're taking captive that stronghold because it's coming against God. And so for me specifically, he told me I had been doing, that's not how you say it, self-erasure. Like I had been suppressing my needs, my wants, my everything in order to help everyone else, do for everyone else, overgive myself. And that was erasing me, which sounds beautiful when you word it in the way that I spent a 2-hour session that should have been 1. It sounds great. It doesn't sound like self-erasure. But what's happening is that if you grew up feeling not chosen, then you want to choose everyone else because you don't want them to feel not chosen. You don't want them to feel like, and so he showed me your body, your nervous system is going back to a wound, and then your actions are coming out of what your nervous system is reminding you of. And so then the next day I went to this whole deep dive of your brain and then your nervous system and how they communicate and how they communicate lies. And so your current situation, you could be handling your current situation completely wrong because your nervous system is going back to a memory where there was a lie that was put in. Yeah.
Isn't that putting you in fight or flight too?
Yes, that is fight or flight. Yeah. That's the more common way to say it. But for me, I went down a hole, and I did this when I was working for chiropractors and would have to explain things. This is your World Wide Web. All the information is stored here, but then it communicates to the rest of your body, all the little roadways.
Yeah.
And so your brain is saying, I heard a loud noise. That means danger is near.
Yeah.
It might just be, a car backfiring. But my body historically hears a loud noise and my whole body responds.
Yeah.
And when you're reminded of that, then it starts to do it again. And so then that's where you have to renew your mind in the truth and rest in the fact that you are safe.
Yes. Also, resting is spending time with him, being in a relationship with him and letting him guide you like that through circumstances that you're going through in your life. Quiet time with him, worshiping, fasting, that's all resting in him and trusting him. I just watched a video on this. Trusting him while it's like a tornado is going around you. It's also worship to rest, because you're showing the enemy your trust in the Lord, and that you're not going to fall for your flesh. Your flesh wants to act all these types of ways of worrying and freaking out and chaos and stress and all these things that gets your adrenals and everything just, firing on all cylinders. And then when you pause and you sit in his presence and you let him take over you and let him give you peace that surpasses all understanding and feed you the truth of his word and what he's saying to you, is resting in him and letting him rejuvenate and renew our minds.
Yeah. And that happens from surrender.
Yeah.
That happens from surrender. I remember I had met someone who she said she had been praying for rest and praying for rest. My schedule is so full, Lord, I just want rest. And she had a stroke.
Oh,
and she was in the hospital.
Wow.
For a long time. And she wasn't old at all. Like, she was very young to have a stroke. And she said, of course, that's not God's desire. Of course, God didn't give me the stroke, but he allowed it because all the ways he wanted to give me rest, I wouldn't let him.
Wow.
And of course, she wasn't trying to be rebellious. It was just, but I got to do this, but I got to do that. But this person expects this. And I think that's common in the church, especially, are you serving? How many teams are you on? Da, 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 da. Well, but is God telling you to do that? I'm not saying it's wrong, but maybe God is not calling you to serve on 10 teams at the church. Like, he's not, and God is never going to have you overextend yourself so that you're neglecting your family, or that your family, your children are only getting the worst parts of you, the tired part of you. And that is something, that you have to pay attention to in ministry. And I've heard that story a lot of times, that children have actually become wayward because their parents gave everyone time but them through ministry. And so it's all about surrendering to the Lord daily, surrendering your flesh daily, and asking the Lord to show you what he wants you to do, be in that alignment with heaven. And that's going to bring freedom and blessing.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. Well, I pray that if you are struggling to find rest, I pray that you allow at least time in your day to sit quietly with him and start getting those downloads. Close your eyes and ask him to reveal himself. It's that simple. There doesn't have to be a 5-page Bible study that you're following, or I didn't read 3 chapters today, so I'm not a good Christian. No, he cares about the relationship, because you're going to be able to surrender and trust and rest when you have a close relationship with him as your shepherd. And that comes from spending time.
Yes. In Jesus' name.
In Jesus' name. Well, we hope you're blessed today. We're so thankful for each one of you. And God willing, we will see you again next week.
Yes. Take care, everybody.